Hello everyone, I am Ritesh Chauhan working as an assistant professor in Computer Engineering Department at Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Technical Education and Research Center, Navsari. So we are continuing with the third unit, that is parsing theory. So the topic which are covered in this video are syntax directed definition, which includes the type of attributes, that is synthesized attribute and inherited attribute. Next one is dependency graph, and the last one is translation scheme. Now, what is syntax directed definition? So it is a generalization of context-free grammar where each grammar symbol have an associated set of attributes and each production has an associated set of semantic rules. The attribute can be number, type, memory location, return type, etc. For example, it is simply this E is a non-terminal, but as an attribute, if I write E dot value, E dot type, E dot memory location, E dot return type, these all are their attributes of that particular non-terminal. So there are basically two types of attributes. First is synthesized attribute and second one is inherited attribute. So in synthesized attribute, it is an attribute which derives their value from their children node. Okay, whatever the non-terminal will be there in the parse tree, it will be derive their value from its children. That is, value of synthesized attribute at a node can be computed from the value of attribute at the children of that node in the parse tree. So it is syntax directed definition that uses synthesized attribute. What we do in synthesize, the values are derived from their children. So a syntax directed definition that uses synthesized attribute exclusively it's said to be as S attribute definition. It is also known as S attribute definition. So there are several steps to compute the S attributed definition. So first we have to write syntax directed definition of a grammar. There is a grammar, we have to write syntax directed definition. In next slide I will show you how to write syntax directed definition of a particular grammar. Second, we have to generate annotated parse tree. We already know what is parse tree, but here it is something new, that is annotated parse tree, that I also explain you in the next slide. And third step is to compute attribute value by following bottom-up approach. This is most important. We have to follow bottom-up approach to compute the attribute value. And the last one is the value at the root node is the final value of an expression. So the first one is synthesized attribute. So consider the following context-free grammar for a simple desk calculator. S tends to En, E tends to E1 plus T. This E and this E are similar. It is only differentiate in this particular production. Okay, both are same. If I want to expand this E1, I can take any of this production of E. Okay. Then T tends to T1 star F. Similarly for T tends to F, F tends to E, F tends to digit, and tends to terminating symbol. It is a terminating symbol, that is N. So how to write syntax directed definition? So there is a production, all the production on the left hand side. It is a production for simple calculator. Okay. So in examination, you have asked to produce a grammar for simple calculator. You have to remember this grammar for simple desk calculator. Okay, this is same as augmented grammar where we start S tends to E and where N is a terminating symbol, and from E we can perform several arithmetic operation. Okay, so whenever this production reach S tends to En, then we have to print the value of E, because E is our root node. How? I will show you in the parse tree. So it is simple. E dot val, because the value is an attribute, So I am writing here e dot val. Okay, e dot val equal to e1 dot val plus t dot val. This e dot val will be derive their values from its children. Whenever I draw the pass tree, I will show you. So what is the semantic rule for e minus t? Similar as plus. Now e tends to t means whatever the value of t, we have to assign to e. So t1 star f, it is similar, t tends to f, it is also similar. Where f tends to in the bracket e, we have to simply write f dot val equal to e dot val. Okay, f tends to digit may be from 0 to 9. Okay, f dot val equal to, here we have to write digit dot lexical value, that is lex val for any digit. Okay, and this semicolon is our terminating symbol. So this is our syntax directed definition. This is not given in the examination, we have to write it. Okay, so you have to remember these productions for calculator or for any expression. If there is in expression, if there is a division symbol, then you have to write here division symbol instead of multiplication. If all the symbols are there, you have to introduce new non-terminal and write the production for division also. Okay, so suppose there is an expression that is 4 into 5 plus 6. What is our next step to generate the annotated pass tree? Suppose there is an expression 4 into 5 plus 6. It may be asked in examination like draw the annotated pass tree for 4 into 5 plus 6 semicolon or 4 into 5 plus 6 n. Both are true. Okay, where n is indicating a terminating symbol. Okay, so for 4 into 5 plus 6, this is a simple pass tree. But annotated pass tree is something new for you. Okay, this is simply a pass tree for, here the digit is 4 into 5 plus 6 and at last terminating symbol. Now what is annotated pass tree? So in annotated pass tree, each non-terminal symbols and the terminal symbols includes these numbers, okay, have their value in the pass tree, then we can say the given pass tree is an annotated pass tree. For example, if I write here e dot val equal to something, t dot val equal to something, t dot val equal to something, here f dot val equal to something, then each non-terminal in the pass tree having their values in the pass tree. That's why that particular pass tree is our annotated pass tree. I will show you the definition. So in the digit for 4 plus 5 into 6, what we have to write? Digit dot lexval equal to 4. Okay, whenever digit will be there, we have to write digit dot lexval. So I write here digit dot lexval equal to 4. Next, what we have to write here? F dot val equal to 4. Why? Because it is an annotated pass tree. In pass tree, we have simply writing the non-terminals, but in annotated pass tree, the non-terminal have their attributes. Okay, what is their attributes? Dot value. Next, this same value will be passed through t, so t dot val equal to 4. Similarly, this f dot val equal to 5, and then t dot val equal to 5 into 4, that is 20. Next, e dot val equal to 20, then plus symbol will be there. Then what is the next digit? Digit is 6, it is assigned to f. As we saw here, what is f? F equal to digit dot lexval. Here the condition fulfills, that f equal to digit dot lexval. Okay. Now how we can say that these all are synthesized attribute? Because all are fetching, all are producing their values from their children only. Okay, this f value is also derived from their children, this t value is also derived from their children, this f value is also derived from their children, this t value is also derived from their children's. That's why this all are synthesized attribute. So t is also getting the same, dot t dot val equal to 6. Now e dot val equal to 20 plus 6, it is 26. Because e dot val derive the value from their children e1 plus t, e plus t. Okay, this is the semantic rules that we are written here, and we are simply following here. Now s tends to en, where n is an terminating symbol. So next step is to compute attribute values by following bottom up approach, and the last is the value at the root node is the final value of the expression. Okay, so we already seen that the values are pushed up with the help of bottom up approach. How? First, where we reach, we first go here and we obtain digit dot Lexwell equal to 4, then going to up, f dot val equal to 4, then t dot val equal to 4. Similarly, digit dot Lexwell equal to 5, it is derived by their children f dot val equal to 5, and then t dot val equal to 5. And this value is going to their parent, that is e dot val, and then digit dot Lexwell equal to 6, then it will be f dot val is derived by their children. Similarly, t dot val also derived by their children, and this e dot val is also derived by their children, that is e val plus t value. And whenever this terminating symbol occur in the parse tree while bottom up, then we have to print this e. So what is the answer? This is our answer, that is 26. Okay, it is very simple. So in examination, this expression will be different. It may be possible 5 divide by 5 plus 6 will be there. Then you have to derive the production accordingly, where multiplication division sign will be there, and then you have to write the semantic rule, and you have to draw this annotated parse tree. In some of the paper only annotated parse tree will be asked, so you have to follow this step number 1, then step number 2, annotated parse tree. That's it. Okay, so what is annotated parse tree? The parse tree showing the value of attributes at each node is called annotated parse tree. As I told you earlier, that each node having the values. Okay, in parse tree there is no value at any non-terminal, but in this parse tree, annotated parse tree, it is showing the values of attribute at each node. You see here. Okay, that's why this parse tree is known as annotated parse tree. So the next attribute is inherited attribute. What is inherited attribute? These are those attributes which derive their values from their parent itself or the sibling node. Okay, in synthesized attribute, it derive their values from their children, but in inherited attribute, it derives their values from their parent or the sibling node. So to compute the inherited attribute, perform the following step. First step is simple as same as we see in synthesized attribute. Second one is we have to generate annotated parse tree. It is also same. And third one is attribute value are computed in top-down manner. So in this inherited attribute, we have to compute the attribute value in top-down manner with the help of their parents or their siblings. So when we're talking about synthesized attribute or S attribute, we have a grammar to solve any arithmetic expressions. But when we're talking about inherited attribute, we have a grammar for the declaration of any variables, in which synthesized and inherited attribute both are used. So consider this following context-free grammar for passing data types to all identifiers. For example, integer id1, id2, id3. So again, like in synthesized attribute, for solving any arithmetic expression, you have to
Remember that particular grammar. Similarly, for declaration of any variables, you have to remember this grammar. That D tends to TL, D means declaration, T means type, L means list of identifiers. Then it may be integer, it may be real, it may be character. You can include T tends to character also here. And why this is written? Because it may be possible there are more than one identifier. For example, I have only two identifiers like character A, comma B. So while feeding this in lexical analysis, this is ID1, this is ID2. Okay. So when we draw the parse tree, D tends to T, T means type, L means list of variables. Okay. So what is L? If you have only single variables, then simply D tends to L will be there and L tends to ID. We do this from here. Okay. But if you have more than one variables, then you have to use T, L, and L tends to L semicolon, sorry, comma ID. That's why this will be written. If there is two variable, then this L contains an ID. So if the type is character, simply we have to write in the parse tree character. Okay, here. That's why this will be written L tends to L1 comma ID. This L is also same as this L, only this one is written here for differentiating from the left hand side. Okay. So it is very simple grammar. You have to remember this for the examination also. So a declaration generated by the non-terminal capital D is a syntax directed definition. So what is our step 1? Step 1 is to construct a syntax directed definition as we constructed in synthesized attribute. So an inherited values at a node in a parse tree is computed from the value of the attribute at the parent or the sibling of a nodes. So D tends to TL. For that, what is the semantic rule? L dot in means it will be inherited from T dot type. L is inherited the type from T. For inherited, we have to write dot in. Okay. So I will show you with the example that if I draw for integer A, D tends to T, L, and what is T? T is suppose integer, type is suppose integer, and in the list of variables only I have A, integer A. This is represented in grammar with ID. Okay. So this L, this T is your synthesized attribute. It will be derived from their children. Okay. So simply we have to write here T dot type equal to integer. Okay. But where this A or any other variable get this type integer? It will be derived from, inherited from their sibling. What is the sibling of L? This T. That's why we have to write here L dot in equal to T dot type. Okay, whatever the type is there, it will be allocated to the L, list of identifiers. Next, for T tends to integer, it is an synthesized attribute. So T dot type equal to integer. Similarly, T dot type equal to real. And here it is most important. L inherit the value from L. L1 is inherited the value from L, because here L will be first generated. Okay, I will show you in the parse tree. First L will be generated, and in inherited attribute we have to go from top to down. So whenever this L1 will be there, it will be derived their values from their parent. Okay, so it inherits the value, L1 will be inherits their value from L dot in. Okay, and we have to add the type, whatever the type is, it may be integer, character, to their ID. For example, this L1 is also have any variable. L tends to L1 dot ID with the help of this this statement. Okay, so whatever the type of this L1 will be, it will be given to this ID. Okay, I will be showing you an example if you don't understand this. And next one is L tends to ID. For L tends to any identifier will be there, then we have to write at type ID dot entry comma L dot in. Okay, whatever the value inherited from the T will be assigned to ID. It is a syntax directed definition with inherited attribute that is defined as L dot in. So here T is associated with a synthesized attribute. As I show you, all the type will be derive their values from their children, and L is associated with an inherited attribute which will be defined as in, that is L dot in. So these semantics rules are already there with us. So what is step 2? We have to generate annotated parse tree. So we have some declaration, that is integer id1, id2, id3. We have to pass the data type integer to id1 also, id2 also, and id3 also. How this data type will be inherited by all these IDs, we will see here. So what is our starting state? D gives TL, then L gives, because we have total 3 identifiers, we have to consider this L1 comma ID. If we have only one identifier, then we directly consider L tends to ID. Okay, so we have to write L1 comma ID. So total 1, and if I write here only ID, then 2 identifier will be there. So we have to expand this L1 also through L1 comma ID. Okay, now from this we can get one ID. From this ID2 will be there, and this is ID3, and whatever the type is, here the type is integer, we will define from T. So integer, okay, then T will be defined as T dot, here integer will be there, so T tends to integer. Okay, so here we have a parse tree with integer ID1 comma ID2 comma ID3. Now this integer, this T is a synthesized attribute. It will be derived their values from their children. Okay, so what is the answer? T dot type equal to integer. Okay, now what about this L? L is an inherited attribute. It cannot derive their value from their children. It may be derive their value maybe from their sibling. What is the sibling of this L? This only T. Or their parent. What is their parent? D. D have no value right now. So it will be define their value from their sibling, that is L dot in equal to integer. L is inherited the value from T dot type. Okay. Next, this L dot in equal to integer, it is also inherited their value from their parent. Okay, now this ID will assign integer data type with the sibling, with the help of their sibling. Okay, we are already written here at type id dot entry, whatever the inherited data type L dot in will be get, it will be also assigned as a at that type to the id. Okay, so id dot entry gets what it gets, integer data type. So this is also defined from their parent. This id will get their data type from their sibling. Okay, this id will get their data type from their parent. So it is all about inherited attribute. We see there that in synthesized attribute the values are derived from their parent, but in this inherited attribute, this is inherited attribute, this is synthesized attribute. Okay, so it will be defined there from their children, but this inherited attribute will be derived from their sibling. See, yet from t dot type it will be inherited the value integer. Similarly, this L will get their value from their parent. This id3 get the data type from their sibling, that is L dot in. Similarly for this.
So the next topic is dependency graph. So the directed graph that represents the interdependencies between synthesized and inherited attribute at node in the parse tree is called dependency graph. So in dependency graph, the dotted line represents the parse tree and the solid arrows, that is directed arrows, shows the dependency between node. So in dependency graph, we simply have to draw and say that this non-terminal depends on this non-terminal and this non-terminal depends on several these non-terminals. Only that's it in this dependency graph. Let's see with example. Suppose there is an example E tends to E1 plus E2, E tends to E1 into E2. This E and this E will be same, only 1 and 2 is written for differentiating purpose, okay, on the right hand side. So first we have to write the semantic rules. What is the semantic rule for E into E1 plus? As I told you earlier that if there is any expression, we have to use synthesized attribute. If there is a declaration, then we have to use inherited attribute. So here synthesized attribute will be used. It may be possible in examination. Example will be given as a inherited attribute and synthesized attribute both. But here only, we are taking only the example of synthesized attribute for dependency graph. So there is a production E tends to E1 plus E2. So what is the semantic rule? E dot val equal to E1 dot val plus E2 dot val. Similarly for this production. So how to draw the dependency graph? So there is no, I am not taking any expression here. Then also I will show you how to construct the dependency graph. So E dot val will be first. It may be expanded with E dot val into E dot val, or it may be expanded with E dot val plus E dot val. It is depending on the string. Okay. Suppose this is a parse tree. Parse tree is denoted by this dotted line, and dependency graph is denoted by these solid arrows. Okay. What this arrow shows as a dependency graph? The synthesis attribute are given that E dot val, E1 dot val, E2 dot val. The dependencies amongst the node are given by solid arrows. The solid arrow like E1 and E2, this E1 and E2 shows that the value of E depends on E1 and E2. For example, the value of this E will be depends on E1 plus E2. Similarly, for this non-terminal, it will be dependent on E1 into E2. Whatever the value E1 and E2 will be multiplied and get it by this E dot val. So this E dot val fully dependent on E1 dot val and E2 dot val. So we have to draw the arrow from this, from bottom to top. What this says, this E dot val will be dependent on these two values, that is E1 and E2. Similarly, this E value will be dependent on E1
E1 plus E2. That's why the arrow will be given here. Okay. So the last topic of this unit 3 is translation scheme. Now see what is translation scheme. So translation scheme is a context-free grammar in which attributes are associated with the grammar symbol. Okay. And semantic action are enclosed in the opening and closing braces and are inserted within the right side of the production. Translation scheme generates the output by executing the semantic action in an ordered manner. It uses depth first traversal. So we have to use a depth first search, and then we have to execute that parse tree and give the output. So translation scheme is mostly used to convert the infix expression into the postfix expression. So whenever in examination you have asked that convert this expression from infix to postfix with the help of translation scheme, so this method you have to consider. It is very simple method. So I know that in my expression only addition and multiplication will be there, so I have to introduce the grammar. If there is a division also and minus also in the expression, then you have to produce the productions accordingly. Okay, you have to produce for minus also and division also. Suppose in my expression only plus and multiplication symbols are there, that's why I am using this grammar. E tends to e plus t, then e tends to t tends to t star f, t tends to f, and f tends to num. Num means any number from 0 to 9. Okay, so this is a syntax directed translation. In examination you may ask like with the help of syntax directed translation, convert this expression into infix to postfix. Okay, it is very simple. We have semantic action. This number is written to compact the annotated parse tree. For compaction of that annotated parse tree, I will show you how it will be compact. Okay, so you have simply giving the number from 1 to 3, 4, 5 in increasing order, ascending order. So suppose the input infix expression is 2 plus 3 into 4. So with the help of annotated parse tree and syntax directed translation, the postfix of the expression 2 plus 3 into 4 is converted to 2, 3, 4 into n plus. Let's see how. So as we see in a previous slide that we have to follow depth first search, and whenever the semantic action will be detected, we have to perform these actions. Okay, so when we go from top to down by following the depth first search, what first we have encountered? Num. Okay, so which value is this? Fifth number. F tends to num. Okay, so what we have to print it for a postfix notation? Print f num dot lexval. What is the lexical value of this num? 2. So we have to print 2. So while we going top to down, what we encountered? T tends to f. The number 4. For number 4, there is nothing to do in semantic action, so we do nothing. While we going according to depth first search, E is encountered, that is E tends to T. Where is E tends to T? Here. 2 number is encountered. In 2 number there is nothing to do. Then according to depth first search, we go first here. F tends to num. That is production number 5. So what is semantic action for this? Print number dot lexval. So we have to print here 3. Next, T tends to F. Which production number is this? T tends to F. This 4. So what we have to do? We have to do nothing. So we go for next. according to depth first search. F tends to num. Production number 5. What is production number 5? Print number.lexwell. What is lexwell here? Lexical value is 4. So we have to print first 4. Next we go here. What is this? T tends to T star F. It is a production number 3. In production number 3 we have to print this star. So we print here star. Next, this production is this? E tends to E plus T. It is a production number 1. What we have to print? We have to print plus. So this is a postfix of the infix 2 plus 3 into 4. So for conversion of infix to postfix, this translation scheme is used. For that, first you have to draw the table for syntax directed translation, and then you have to draw annotated parse tree, simple parse tree, and then you have to simply give this number 1 2 3 4 in ascending order. Okay, and you have to follow a depth first search. Okay, F tends to num indicate fifth number. So which action will be performed with the semantic action? This num we have to print num dot lexical value. What is the lexical value here? 2. So we print first 2. Then we go up. The fourth production will be encountered. We have to do nothing here. Then we go up. E tends to T. Second number of production. We have to do. The action table has nothing to print. Next 5. So printf num dot lexwell. Lexical value is 3. So we print here first 3. In fourth, nothing is there in semantic action, and then we encountered F tends to num, which is production number 5. So we have to print 4 here, and then this is encountered at T into F, which is production number 3. In production number 3, we have a semantic action print star. So we print star, and then we encountered E tends to E plus T, which is a production number 1. So semantic action is we have to print plus. So this postfix notation is obtained with the help of this annotated parse tree. Now, why this tree is called annotated parse tree? It has a value. In some of the books, instead of this number, it will be written as like for this I have written E tends to T. Then instead of 2, in some of the books it will be written do nothing. Okay. For compaction of this syntax parse tree, I will giving here the number, and then we put here numbers. Okay. So don't confuse if any of the book contains this type of parse tree for syntax directed translation. Okay. So this is an exercise that you have to do by your own. This question is also asked in GTU for 7 mark in December 2014. Construct a syntax directed translation scheme that translate arithmetic expression from infix to postfix notation. Show the application of your scheme to the string 3 into 4 plus 5 into 2. So in this also we have to use that previous grammar. But if there is a division symbol and minus symbol will be there, including this multiplication and plus, then you have to derive another grammar, and then you have to draw the syntax directed translation table with the semantic actions. Okay. I hope you understand all the topic like syntax directed definition, then dependency graph, and this translation scheme. If you have any query in any of this topic, please contact me. Thank you.